It's this recognition of like, okay, well, maybe I don't prioritize my morning routine, but when I don't take time for myself in the morning, guess what? Someone else takes time for me. If you're not prioritizing your routine, someone else is going to do it for you. They're going to take that time from you. So that's why it's so important to have an idea of like what you truly want to be doing with your day. Today's episode is going to be a quick one, so strap in. You're going to get some eye-opening views into actually the minds of my clients. So I asked my BCB babes from BCB Universe about what were the 5 like big revelations that came from auditing your day and just what to look for when you are auditing your day. So I'm going to share kind of their 5 big revelations that they shared. I tried to take what they said and turn it into 5 different like categories, I guess. But if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say an audit, it is essentially, going throughout your day, writing down everything you do, everything you say, everything you eat, drink, what kind of work you're doing, like how long you're on your phone, just everything. You are literally writing down what you do from the time you wake up to the time your head hits the pillow at night. So, and what time you're doing it. The big revelations that a lot of my clients had, starting number 1. I'm not getting enough blank. I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm not getting enough food. I'm not getting enough water. I'm not getting enough steps. It was very eye-opening to what they felt like they were lacking within their day. Number 2 was I'm getting too much. So okay, biggest one is like screen time. They're like, holy shit, I am on my phone a lot, or I am on my computer all dang day with work. And like, it just, once they actually write it down and they see how much of their day, what percentage of their day is spent looking at screens, and then when they leave work for the day, they're looking at screens on their computer, and then they're looking at screens on their TV, and then they're looking at screens while they're scrolling on their phone, and they're like, wow, that is eye-opening. Like, you don't realize it because it's so normalized, especially in our society and where we're at in the States, North America, like honestly, just globally. We're on our phones a lot, but it's very normalized, so we might not realize it. So we just don't think it's a lot because it's become so natural within our day-to-day life. Next one. So I'm not getting enough, I'm getting too much. And then I didn't realize so much of my time was spent blank. A lot of them were saying, I didn't realize so much of my time was spent in the car driving, whether it's like driving their kids all around, it's, driving their work, their commute. They're like, wow, this is like a lot of time driving. On screens, I already talked about that. Being on phone calls, maybe you don't have great boundaries with family, so you're getting phone calls all day. You didn't realize how much time you spent like replying to text messages of people, or, just any of those things. It's very eye-opening. Like, we just don't realize where our time goes. And the next thing I hear people say, or my clients told me, the next thing I heard my clients tell me was, I lack prioritization. So what does that mean? So what they meant was, they said they're operating more on a whim than on an actual schedule. This is huge because this used to be me. I had the mindset that like, if I had a routine, if I had a schedule, then I couldn't be spontaneous. I wouldn't be myself. Like, the world would combust and I would feel too like put in a box, because y'all know I hate being put in a box. So here is this recognition of like, okay, well, maybe I don't prioritize my morning routine, but when I don't take time for myself in the morning, guess what? Someone else takes time for me. So what I mean by that is your schedule, if you're not putting it into your schedule, if you're not prioritizing your routine, which we talked about this in the next episode, we'll talk about this more. If you're not doing that, someone else is going to do it for you. They're going to take that time from you. So that's why it's so important to have an idea of like what you truly want to be doing with your day, because your day leads to your weeks leads to months leads to years, and it starts to build up, and you realize that you've been doing so much for other people and you haven't been prioritizing or doing the things you said you want to do, or living the life that you want to live. And I work with a lot of people who decades go by. I remember I was letting a lot of time go by where I wasn't prioritizing what I needed to do, or I was doing things for others. This is another one that we'll get to on the last one. But with lacking prioritization, the realization that was coming was I'm easily distracted. I procrastinate a lot getting work done. Maybe they were recognizing within their work that they were like putting off the bigger projects or putting off the things that they needed to get done, and they were stuck. Like the description that I remember getting stuck in was like, I feel like I'm like treading water day to day. Like I'm just like doing the bare minimum. I'm getting like the things I have to get done for work, but like I can't get into the stuff that like I need to do to go forward. Or maybe it's the same thing with like your day or with your goals. And so you're just treading water. And that happens a lot of times when we're taking on too much for your day. You're recognizing like, wow, I'm trying to fit too much into one day, and I'm procrastinating and I'm getting distracted, and that lack of prioritization is a big one there. And then another one that's huge, especially for these people pleasers here, is I don't say no enough. Like I am saying yes to other people all day long and not to myself. That's a problem. If you are constantly saying yes to other people's asks of you and no to your own needs, it is going to lead to burnout. It will often lead to resentment of the people that are asking things of you, and it's going to make you feel completely disempowered and out of control within your own life, when ultimately we think we don't have a say. We think we can't say no, and sometimes, I'm not a mom. Sometimes you have to say yes to things, but try and ask yourself, what can I say no to today? Who can I say no to today in order to say yes to myself? That can be a game changer. That can be helpful for you when you are coming to this realization. Now, some of these things when we go through the revelations that you have after an audit, I'm not getting enough this, I'm getting too much this, I lack prioritization, I didn't realize that I spent so much time doing this, I don't say no enough. That sounds pretty negative, right? And for me to even say these things is pretty powerful. So what's the next step? And I go deeper into this with my clients. We break this down because the thing that I don't want you to do from these revelations is to come to a place of feeling guilty and feeling like, oh my gosh, I am the worst human alive. I'm a terrible mom. I'm terrible at my job. I'm so bad taking care of myself. I'm terrible with my health. I'm terrible with my spending, blah, blah, blah. Whatever revelations you have, don't immediately just shift to like blaming yourself. Are you in control of them? Yes. Should you be the one to make the changes? Yes. I want you to take initiative. I'm not saying that you shouldn't step into that space of taking initiative for your actions and what comes next, but feeling guilty about past situation, past mindsets, current life situation, that doesn't help anything. The guilt doesn't get you anywhere. The guilt doesn't get you anywhere. What does is the awareness. That self-awareness is going to be a huge step for you, and it helps you break up with this, because I don't want you to go down the road of feeling guilty and you almost have like a crisis. You're like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing with my life? I don't know what I'm doing. Should I quit my job? Should I do this? And like it kind of we can spiral very quickly after these revelations. And I'm like, take a breath. It's all about the small shifts. It's not about you having to completely quit your job or completely, leave your family or like something crazy. Like, I just need to quit everything and go live on a farm. A lot of people have the urge to like, I'm just going to quit everything and I'm going to book a trip. That was me for a really long time. But is that ultimately fixing the root of the problem here? No, it's not. It's going to maybe put it off until later. That's a lot of things, is where we are numbing ourselves, we're distracting ourselves in order to put off the inevitable, which is some shift has to happen. It has to happen, but it's not as scary as it may seem. It can feel overwhelming when you see it all written out. It's small changes. It's a small shift. And so start to see like, okay, yes, I'm coming to these revelations, but what can I do about it now? What's a small shift I can do to help take my life back? Start from there, and then you can go into the next space. I am all for big, scary change, but don't belittle the small stuff, because that's where the sustainable, long-term changes are at, is in the small day-to-day actions, the small shifts you can take. And so give yourself space to make small changes every day, instead of putting so much pressure on yourself to do some crazy big change. So it starts with small changes, it starts with self-awareness, and then intention. I'm so grateful for my BCB babes, for the clients who shared this with you all. So if you know any BCB babes, shout them out and say, hey, thanks for sharing your revelations with me on your audit. If you want to know more about what that looks like, definitely let me know. You can reach out to any of my alum. I actually have some episodes on here of some BCB babes sharing their experience going through working with me. So go listen to those episodes. It's from season 1, Where Are They Now, that series. And then if you have any questions for me about this or any revelations that you've had of your own after doing an audit, share it with me. I hope this episode helped give you some clarity on what these revelations can mean for you and help you release any kind of guilt. If you are feeling like you're stuck in the mindset of saying, I'm not enough, I'm getting too much, I'm struggling with this, I'm not where I want to be, find a way of like, okay, maybe I'm not where I want to be, and that's okay. Give yourself permission to just be first, and you'll be surprised what happens when you release that guilt and it creates space for you to actually move forward. So take it from my BCB babes that it's all about small changes and you can grow from there.